When he stepped onto a stage at the Sun Dome at South Florida University this morning to accept the Motorola Coach of the Year award based on voting by the fans, Coach Mike Tomlin of the Super Bowl favorite Pittsburgh Steelers was asked, not surprisingly, about President Obama. And in our #1 story in the countdown, our exclusive interview with Tomlin, Obama, it turns out, was almost simultaneously being asked about Tomlin.
I wish the Cardinals the best. You know, Kurt Warner is a great story, and he's closer to my age than anybody else on the field. But I am a longtime Steelers fan. Mr. Rooney, the owner, was just an extraordinary supporter during the course of the campaign. Yeah, Franco Harris was campaigning for me in Pittsburgh. So,
Coach signed up with you too. He's president.
Right. Coach Tomlin was a supporter. So I wish the best to the Cardinals. They've been long-suffering. It's a great Cinderella story, but other than the Bears, the Steelers are probably the team that's closest to my heart.
Mike Tomlin is a fascinating individual. On Sunday, he will become the youngest coach in Super Bowl history. He made it to the Super Bowl with just 2 years of head coaching experience. He is, in fact, a year younger than the quarterback his team will try to beat on Sunday, Kurt Warner of Arizona. The Motorola Coach of the Year, a fan vote. So your reaction to it, what does it mean?
You know, it's probably more of a testament to Steeler Nation than anything else. You know, we have some fiercely loyal fans, but seriously, it's a humbling honor.
Do you worry about individual honors the week of the Super Bowl? The week of the first one, you're the head coach in. Do you worry about it being sort of dropping out of the sky and interrupting what you have planned for this week?
You know, I came down with the mindset that I was going to embrace everything that this week held for us, the spectacle, if you will, of the Super Bowl. I wasn't going to fight it or resist it. I don't want our team to fight it or resist it. Just understand that what we came down here to do was to win and to prepare for that and then ultimately play. So I'm going to put this in that same category with everything else. Do you try to keep it sort of separate somewhere, along with the idea that you are here, you are coaching the Super Bowl on Sunday, trying to keep that idea of what that means in terms of your professional success separate from we have a job to do? Yeah, I don't know if I'm a big evaluator of where I am professionally. I just live it. I think that when you have a perception of maybe what's acceptable or what's good, ultimately you put limits on what you're capable of being. I just go and compete on a day-to-day basis. I have a question about the Rooney Rule in the NFL. Probably not the one you would think would be coming. For people who are not that familiar with the NFL, it has been the most aggressive of all professional sports about opening doors or knocking down barriers, more correctly, for minority coaching candidates. Each team is required, when it has an opening, to do a series of interviews to bring people into the mix. Perhaps one of the most unexpected side parts to this is that not only did it afford people opportunities that they deserved and correct a lot of problems from the past, but do you think it has accelerated job prospects, head coaching prospects for younger assistant coaches? Do you think it's sort of like eliminated this idea, well, you have to have been an assistant coach in this league for 20 years before you should get a shot? I don't know that it's done that. I just think the success of younger coaches that have been given opportunities has been a bigger component of that. I think guys like Eric Mangini, with the success that he had early in New York, Sean Payton, I think, may have been Coach of the Year his first year down there in New Orleans. I think the success of some of those guys have provided opportunities for guys like myself and those that have followed. So there's never been a thought in your mind that 36 was probably earlier than you would have expected to be in the situation you were in this week? Well, you know, I maybe thought it was late, you know. I take it all in stride. All right, let me ask you a couple questions about the game, surprisingly enough. This is also a coaching question, and it's a question about this week. What have you found that you've had to do different? What is different from this, practically speaking, in terms of preparing a team for a game? In terms of the actual preparation, the moments that we're with our team and nobody else is around, is not different at all. Now it's a little different because we've had 2 weeks to prepare, but the approach that we've taken is one of normalcy. How big is it that you have a couple of key guys who have been through this before on the team, and are they using that experience to help the guys who haven't been here before get through the external nonsense? I think it is helpful. I think it's helpful leading up to the game and dealing with the week itself, the process that you go through, some of the obligations and things that you have to do. But ultimately, when you kick that ball off, I think we're still probably going to have a few guys hyperventilating whether they've been here or not. It's the big game.
Well, to that point, and much was made of this earlier before the game when Ben Roethlisberger admitted to, in his first Super Bowl appearance, being nervous throughout. Probably during any other week of the season, people go, "Oh, that's interesting," and we're going to move on to the next story. But a big deal was made about that. Did you have a reaction to that? Did you know about it? Were you surprised that he said it?
No, I wasn't surprised that he said it. Ben can be painfully honest at times. I truly believe that he's not the first quarterback that went through that game nervous the entire time.
One would think, right?
But he's bold enough to admit it.
The obligatory health question: how is Hines Ward?
He's great.
And I think that's an official listing, isn't it? Probable, likely, questionable, or he's great. About your opponent. The way the Arizona Cardinals season went, it might be impossible to tell exactly how good they are. Do you think that's a fair assessment, or do you think you know exactly how good they are, and if you don't, does it add anxiety to the process?
No, I think I know how good they are. I think the way they played ball in January is what they are, is who they are. They absolutely ran away with their division, and it's human nature. When you're in a position that they were in, to maybe lose a little bit at the end of the regular season. There was no one pushing them. When it came time to compete and get in the tournament and play a single elimination football, they played to what they're capable of playing.
People, I think, know, even who don't know a lot about this game, understand that your defense is as good as it gets, maybe as good as it's gotten. And certainly the Arizona offense has proved it can just score and score and score depending on the strength of the defense it's facing. That varies from week to week. The other two components, is your offense better than their defense?
We'll see. A lot of times the matchups that don't get the headlines are the ones that decide the outcome of the game. That's something that we've been talking openly about with our football team, that we're not going to be presumptuous. We're not going to identify potential matchups or think a game's going to unfold in a certain way, that we're going to be open to the possibility that this game could be 3-2 or it could be 49-48. That's just the reality of it.
Two final questions. First one is more a personal one. Is this story true that when you were a kid you hid a bumper sticker that identified you as an honor student? What is that?
That's true.
What's the story?
That's my personal business, If I was a C or D student, my mom wouldn't have put that bumper sticker on her car. It would have been my personal business. So the fact that I made good grades, I had the same approach or mentality.
So it was on the car, and what, did you take it off or what?
It wasn't on the car very long.
All right, and as I said, the final question. This, you'll meet with other reporters in certain circumstances, but essentially this is the last interview that you have to sit down and do and put the mic on and everything else before the Super Bowl. How good does that feel?
Feels great, It feels great because it is work. It is work, and it's extra work. But it's something that comes with this game. There's 30 teams that would love to have these problems. Exactly. So we keep that perspective on it, and I'm going to do the same.
Well, we'll let you get back to your real job. Congratulations again, Mike.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.